You can't be afraid of people willing to hurt you because if you fear life, then you'll never live. Those are wise words that were spoken by Chester Bennington, the lead singer of Linkin Park. Today is a really heavy day for many of us that were shaped by Chester, that loved Chester, because this is the anniversary of his passing. He passed July 20th, 2017. For any of you that have been around the channel for a while, you know that Chester and Linkin Park were a big part of my story, of my mental health journey, of my healing, of the reason that I'm still here. How rude of me to not introduce myself. I'm Amanda, for those of you that are new. If you haven't already, please make sure you make sweet, sweet love to that subscribe button. Give the bell a few kisses so you're not missing any of this content designed to help you with your mental health or help you help someone else. Now, Chester wasn't just the voice behind the music. For so many of us, he was the music. He was raw, he was honest, and he was still fighting even though he had his own demons. And today I want to honor him like I have every year since his passing. Today I want to honor him in the best way that I know how, in a way that feels right to me, by diving into the lyrics of One More Light by Linkin Park. Now, I'm not listening to this as a first-time listener. I've listened to this song many, many times. As a matter of fact, it is a song that I turn to when I lose someone as my way of processing my grief. So I'm not listening to this as a first-time listener, but as someone who gets it, someone who's been there, someone who's walked a similar journey that Chester walked with his demons, with his struggles, with his mental health challenges. I know as well as anyone how powerful this song still is. Now, my commentary might be a bit much for some people who are just looking for the oohs and ahs and that's so great and wow, he's really talented. We know that he's really talented. And so it might be a bit much because I tend to dive deeper into my reactions and analyses, but especially on this one, I want to get deep in there. Now, I know there's always going to be people that say you should listen to the album version, people that say you should listen to the live version, people that say you should listen to the music video version, but I want to do the live version that they did on Jimmy Kimmel, and there's a few specific reasons behind that. This is a Chris Cornell tribute also, and today being Chris Cornell's birthday, I know that that is very powerful for a lot of you guys. Chris wasn't important to me. I never was really introduced to him, but I have listened to some of his music here on the channel and intend to do more reactions and get introduced to more, so feel free to drop your suggestions down below. But I kind of want to incorporate that as well, but I just think this one is really emotional. This is a very emotional performance. It's a very raw performance, and it just, I think, has a lot more depth. So this is the one I'm choosing to do. I have heard the other versions. They're all beautiful in their own right, but this is the one I'm choosing to do today. So this is One More Light by Linkin Park with Chester.
This is their new album. It's called One More Light. It comes out tomorrow. Here with the title track dedicated to Chris Cornell, Linkin Park.
Thank you very much. We were going to come out and play heavy first, but in light of our dear friend Chris Cornell passing away, we decided to play our song One More Light in honor of him to start this off. We love you, Chris. Should have stayed were the signs I ignored. Cannot help you not to hurt anymore. We saw brilliance when the world was asleep. There are things that we can have, but can't keep.
You know it is so hard for me to pause Chester, but I do think that we needed to dive into this. The song didn't even start and I'm already in tears, but it's so powerful to still be able to hear his voice. But the opening lyrics really cut into the guilt and the helplessness that we feel when we lose someone, especially to unaliving. I hate that I have to water that down. I hate that I have to use that term, but algorithm gods are there, and we do have to abide by that. But it's a question I hear all the time here in this community. Did I missed the signs. Could I have saved them? And even me, as someone who didn't even know Chester personally, it's like, what if one of us could have met him and we could have said the right things? Could that have saved him? And I think that these lyrics are really reminding us that these are often questions without answers. And that is so important to sit with, that sometimes we can't fix or save someone. That's the things that we can have but can't keep. We can't save everyone, but our love for that person, it still matters deeply. And I think the lyrics are also really capturing how grief makes us re-examine everything. It really makes us re-examine every interaction we have with the person, every single moment, every potential interaction, everything that we did or didn't do. We're looking for what should have been, what could we have said or done differently to save them. And there's the good times, the brilliance that's mentioned, which to me is that person's wisdom, that person's light, that person's love. And that this is about seeing the beauty and the light in someone who might not have been able to see it in themselves. And we know that Chester did struggle a lot seeing that in himself. Even though he had all these people that adored him, even though he had all this success, he struggled to see that in himself. And I think that it's so often that the rest of the world doesn't notice either. And I'm sorry. I think that that's what breaks me the most, is when this album came out, a lot of people accused them of selling out because it didn't have the typical Linkin Park sound. And I think in many ways this was him crying out, and this was him reaching out to the fans. And when they shot him down like that, it was too much. You know, this is about seeing the beauty and the light in someone who the rest of the world didn't notice, who couldn't see it themselves, and the unbearable truth that life is impermanent. And maybe you lose them tragically, like we lost Chester, or maybe you lost them in another way. But it also reflects how people who struggle deeply can shine so brightly to others. He shone so brightly to us, often brighter than they realize, almost always brighter than they realize, yet they feel unseen, they feel invisible. And there's nothing we can do in many cases to help them see themselves or to help them realize how valuable they really are.
If they say, who cares if one more light goes out in the sky of a million stars? It flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If a moment is all we are, or quicker, quicker. Who cares if one more light goes out? Well, I do. The reminder, pull the floor from your feet. In the kitchen, one more chair than you need. It's not fair. Just 'cause you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. If there
The reminders pull the floor from your feet. I think that captures how grief can blindside us. Even if we think we're okay, we think we're healing, it's not linear. There are the 5 stages of grief, but it's not linear. We go through that Kubler-Ross model, but we go through it at random. It's not always one after the other. It's not always in the order portrayed. Sometimes we go back, but a sight, a smell, a date on the calendar like today, that's all it can take to send us just completely spiraling again, and the grief feels so fresh all over again. It's like walking on solid ground that just gets yanked out from underneath you, and it just gives way beneath you. And the one more chair than you need, that image it's so intimate, it's so relatable. Something as mundane, otherwise mundane, as an empty chair, that can become this symbol, this screaming reminder of what is missing, of what we don't have, of that person that isn't there with us. And it's a way that grief haunts even the spaces we live in. Grief can just be so so relentless that it'll just pop up in those little places and those little things, those little reminders that you're angry and you should be. I really like that. I've always really liked that because I think that it's so validating. God, Linkin Park's music was just so unbelievably validating to me, and the way he performed it like no one else can. Sorry to say, that's my opinion. I just don't think anyone else can perform it with his emotion, his experience. Again, just my personal opinion, but I think that he personally sings it without judgment, and he's really saying you're angry and it's unjust. That's okay. Like you've been slighted, you've had this taken away from you, and it's okay to be angry because society often wants us to skip through those stages of grief to acceptance. But anger is a really important part of that process. As long as you are doing it in as healthy a way as possible, it's really important that we don't just try to find the silver lining. It is okay if you don't try to find the positive part of losing someone that you love, someone you care about. That's not always going to be, oh, well, they were a good person and they're in a better place, or whatever you believe. That's not always going to come out like that. Anger is a necessary part of grief. Emotions are a necessary part of grief. And it's okay to be angry. The angry is not a negative quote unquote emotion, but just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. To me, this has two separate layers to it. Even if you can't see the pain that someone is going through, even if you can't see, the pain someone was in when they passed away or when they made this choice, which in my opinion, from a professional and personal perspective, isn't really much of a choice. You feel kind of cornered when you're to that point of not wanting to be here anymore. But that pain was real. It was present. It was valid. It was theirs, and we can't say what we would do because we are not in that exact situation. We're not experiencing that. But even after they're gone, their love, their impact, their presence, it still exists in many ways that you may not immediately see. But just because we can't see Chester doesn't mean he's not still with us, because even all these years later, we're still sitting here and holding space for him.
They say, who cares if one more light goes out in the sky of a million stars? It flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If a moment is all we are, or quicker, quicker. Who cares if one more light goes out? Well, I do. If they say, who cares if one more light goes out in the sky of a million stars? It flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If the moment is all we are, or quicker, quicker. Who cares when someone's well, I
Checked on him? Did you see how Brad, I think it was, looked at Chester? Because he could see that he was breaking. He could see that he was becoming very emotional. And that's why I wanted to listen to this version, because I think it just that little bit where you can tell his voice is giving out, and not because of anything professional. His voice is giving out because he is in some way giving out, because he just is so weighed down by the pain and grief of losing his friend and not knowing how to cope with that, that that was just so hard for him to sing. There was no second do over like there would be for an album version, you know? And that's why I wanted to do this live version. But that scream haunts me every time, especially when I listen to the album version of it, because it just feels like his ghost is singing to us. And even now it's like I'm watching his ghost. So let's do the chorus. Let's break down the chorus. The chorus sounds even more haunting to me on this side of his loss. Who cares if one more light goes out? This line really captures the heartbreaking way society often responds to loss, particularly when someone loses their life to unaliving like this. They see it as sinful, they see it as selfish, they see it as childish. I've heard it all. I've heard all these things, and it breaks me every time because clearly they don't understand what it's like to be in so much pain that your own brain turns on you, that your own mind turns on you, that you can't find a way out of this pain. That he couldn't find another way out of this pain. There seems to be a lot of indifference from people, especially when someone's quietly struggling, like a lot of people who are in this state they're quietly struggling. In a world, now my voice is breaking, my words are breaking. In a world full of billions of people, we can feel so small and so unimportant, even if we have millions of people. In my case, 82,000 people on my channel. In Chester's case, millions and millions of fans around the world. We can still feel so small and so unimportant, like our light doesn't matter. And in a sky of a million stars, the flickering, I think the metaphor speaks to how each of us is just one point of light in this really vast universe. And stars flicker and they fade all the time. There's stars going out all the time. And from far away, that might seem inconsequential. It might seem really inconsequential that a star goes out, right? But to the people standing under that sky, to the people that love that star, it matters. And its flicker matters really deeply. It flickers because it struggles to keep its shine. And it shines as long and as bright as it can. But like I said, it's the brightest ones that often go out the fastest because they can't sustain being bright for everyone else and trying to shine and be there for everyone else. But who cares when someone's time runs out if a moment is all we are? Or quicker, these lines. I think they really bring us back to the existential question of if life is so fleeting, if we're just moments, if that's all life is this just a series of moments, why are we here? Like, what are we doing here? Why does it matter? Why does any of this matter? Why does my life matter? And it's a valid question. It's what I've thought many times when I've been in that darkness. Like, why do we matter? Why do I matter? And I remember thinking after Chester lost his life, I spiraled hard. And if you don't know my story, I highly suggest you listen to my reaction to Crawling because it goes more into my story. But I remember when Chester lost his battle thinking, if he can't fight, if he can't be here, if he can't hold on, what the hell do I have? Like, how can I find strength? But I think that the way Chester sings it, it's like, I don't know how to say it. We realize that every moment matters because it's finite, because there's only so many of them. And that's exactly why we feel the loss so profoundly, is because our time here is limited and we only have so many moments. And we know we only have so many moments with our loved ones or with our heroes. We only have so many of those, and that's what makes it so beautiful and so special, is the fact that it's finite. But who cares if one more light goes out? That's the ultimate question of the song, right? Who cares if one more light goes out? Well, I do, and that's the emotional climax. It's a direct confrontation to apathy. It's defiant, and it's loving, and it's human, and that's what connects me so much to Chester, and that's why I can't really connect to the direction the band has taken now, it's because I connected personally to Chester, and I just disagree with the choices they made, and nothing against them. Again, that's my personal opinion, but I just feel like it's so much more human when he's performing it, and it just feels like a call to care. Like, even when our efforts feel small, even when we feel small, we feel hopeless, Chester's reminding us, even if the world seems indifferent, he cared. And if he cared, we can care about ourselves and about each other. And as I said, I always listen to song when I lose someone, because it helps me sit with my grief. It validates it. It validates me. And when I hear this song, it reminds me that you don't have to be the brightest star in the sky to mean something. You don't have to be the best at something. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to have a bunch of followers. You don't have to be something quote unquote special. You're enough just by being here. And you don't have to shine all the time. Right? You don't have to be this bright light all the time. It's okay to flicker, and even a flickering light lights up the darkness for itself, for others, for someone. Chester's voice gave us the permission to feel our own pain, to face it, and to keep going. That's the thing, is people try to shut us out. People try to say, no, like, it's better off now. They're better off. They're in a better place. Like, you can find strength, and you can find strength on the other side of grief, or in grief. There are moments of strength, and depending on what you believe in, you might believe that there's somewhere else now, and that's fine. But I think that you have to understand that when you love someone, you spend all this time building up that love. You spend all this time creating that bond, and it doesn't just go away. And it's okay to not just feel like merry freaking sunshine the day after, the year after. In this case, what year is it now? 8 years after. It's okay to not feel like merry sunshine. It's okay to not feel rainbows and unicorns. It's okay to feel human and to have human emotions. But even when it feels like nobody else notices, trust me, your passing would matter to someone. Even if you're not Chester, even if you're not famous, there is a ripple effect, and that will matter. And it matters to me. If you're watching this, it matters to me. So if you're watching this and you're struggling, your light matters to me. It matters so much. And when people in this community disappear, or heaven forbid, when we lose one, it matters to me, and it hurts, and I feel it. And if you've lost someone, know this. Their light mattered too, and it always, always will. Chester's light will always matter to us. It will always be here. And like Chester said, who cares if one more light goes out? Well, I do. I care, and I hope you care too. I actually got through this, and I'm kind of proud of myself for that, because I've been meaning to do this for the last couple of years, and I don't know why I kept putting it off. I guess just mentally I wasn't ready, but I made it through with minimal mascara smudging, yay! In many ways, Chester inspired me to create this community, to share music and lyrics so that we could all come together, so that we could have a safe place to share our mental health journeys. So that's what this community is for, is a place to share your mental health journeys, good, bad, and crazy. So here in the comments, you are safe. I will protect you if someone attacks you. I will ban them from the community. You are safe here to share your mental health journey, and to let us hold space for you. Let us show you that we care if your light goes out. I love you guys so much. Make sure you're sharing this today, because it's just nice to have a way to keep his energy and his wisdom and his love for his art alive. I'm a firm believer that when we lose somebody, that the best thing we could do is find a way to keep their love and their wisdom alive, find a way to share that with the world. So let's share this today, whether the video or whether this reaction. I love you guys so much. And this is pretty much like the theme song of this channel, because we do care if your light goes out. I love you so much. I'll see you soon.